Chapter 2, Shadows and Echoes. The rain fell relentlessly, sweeping through the desolate streets of New Delhi like an unyielding curtain of sorrow. Water cascaded from the broken eaves, drumming against the cracked asphalt, carving paths through the debris of a city teetering on the brink of despair. Each drop echoed the somber mood, blurring the jagged outlines of buildings into ghostly silhouettes against the storm-darkened sky. Aurav Sharma trudged forward, his steps heavy, splashing through the burgeoning puddles that reflected the sporadic flashes of distant lightning. The chill of the rain seeped through his clothes, biting into his skin, a stark reminder of his eerie rebirth. The howling wind carried whispers, or so it seemed, the spectral voices of the fallen, his fallen comrades, whose faces haunted his every step. Rajan, with his undying optimism that had brightened their darkest hours, Meera, whose fierce resolve had bolstered their spirits against insurmountable odds, Vikram, the silent sentinel whose steady presence had been their anchor. Each had perished, their lives extinguished like candles in a tempest, their final moments imprinted in Aurav's memory with painful clarity. As he navigated through the shadowy avenues, the specters of his past companions seemed to flicker in and out of existence, carried on the wings of the storm, urging him onward. He shook his head, attempting to dispel the haunting visions, focusing on the tangible, the cold bite of the rain, the solid ground beneath his feet, the mission at hand. The system's voice, ever clinical and detached, intruded upon his solitude. Directive: locate Shadow Guardian operative, codename Siddharth. Probability of alliance: 42%. Tactical advantage: high. Siddharth, the enigma, a shadow among shadows. His reputation was that of a ghost, a whisper in the dark underbelly of the resistance. No one had seen his face, few even knew his real name. Yet, his influence was undeniable, woven deeply into the fabric of the clandestine networks that defied the invaders. Finding him was a venture into the unknown, a task fraught with peril. The Shadow Guardians were elusive, their loyalties obscure, their methods unorthodox. They dwelt in the margins, the interstices where light faded into darkness. Trust was a commodity Aurav could not afford, yet without their aid, his chances of thwarting the impending invasion dwindled. Pressing forward, Aurav's focus was singular: reach the coordinates that would lead him to Jay, a former affiliate of the Guardians, known for his arms dealings and a pragmatic loyalty to the highest bidder. It was a tenuous lead, but it was all he had. A sudden rustle, a disturbance in the rhythmic patter of rain, halted his advance. His senses heightened, Aurav's hand instinctively went to the knife concealed beneath his soaked jacket. His eyes scanned the murky depths of the alleyway from which the sound had emanated. A shadow moved, subtle but unmistakable. Someone was there, watching, waiting. With cautious steps, Aurav approached, every sense alert. He knew the dangers of the city, the roving bands of scavengers, the desperate souls left to fend for themselves. But this was different. The deliberate stealth of the figure suggested a predator, not prey. As he drew closer, the figure stepped into the faint light, a young woman, her features obscured by a hood, her stance defensive. "Who are you?" Aurav demanded, his voice steady despite the pounding of his heart. The woman hesitated, then, with a fluid motion, she drew a blade, a glint of steel that caught the dim light. "I might ask you the same," she replied, her voice low, almost a whisper. Aurav tensed, readying himself. "I'm not looking for trouble. I'm looking for someone." "Everyone's looking for someone," she said cryptically. "What makes you think you'll find them here?" "I have my reasons. Now, if you'll excuse." But she was already moving, swift and silent, her blade a flash of silver in the stormy light. Aurav reacted instinctively, his own knife drawn in a parry that met her strike with a clang of metal. Sparks flew, illuminating their faces in brief flashes of light and shadow. They circled each other, each assessing the other's skill, a dance of blades that sang with each movement. Aurav could see it now in her eyes, a fierce determination, the will to survive that mirrored his own. "Stop," he commanded, hoping to end the confrontation. "I'm not the enemy." The woman paused, her blade still raised. "Nor am I," she replied, her breaths coming hard and fast. "I thought you were one of them." "Them?" "The hunters," she said, lowering her weapon slightly. "Those who've been picking off survivors one by one. I thought you were with them." Aurav lowered his knife, sensing the truth in her words. I'm not with anyone. I'm here to stop them, stop this invasion. The woman studied him, her gaze piercing even in the dim light. And how do you plan to do that? With help, Oriv said, sheathing his knife. From the Shadow Guardians. Her reaction was immediate, a mixture of surprise and caution. What do you know of the Guardians? Enough to seek them out, Oriv replied. I need to find Sidthoth. He's the key. The rain continued to fall, a steady drum that seemed to echo the beat of their conversation. The woman sheathed her blade, stepping closer. Then it seems we have a common cause, she said. But finding Sidthoth won't be easy. He doesn't trust easily. Neither do I, Oriv said. But I'm willing to take that chance. She nodded slowly, considering his words. Very well. I can take you to him. But be warned, he's as likely to greet you with a blade as he is with words. Oriv smiled grimly. Then we'll speak in the language he prefers. Together, they set off into the rain-drenched night, two shadows converging on a path that would lead them deeper into the heart of the resistance. And above them, the storm raged on, indifferent to the fates of those who moved beneath its vast, turbulent canopy.